What is food insecurity? Well, nearly 50% of college students across the U.S. are considered food insecure, meaning they have difficulties with access to healthy, fresh foods. More shockingly is up to 43% of students with a meal plan still fall food insecure. So what's something more than just a meal plan to help solve this problem on ASU's campus?
So my name is Andrew V. Emerson. I'm one of the executive directors for the Student Anti-Hunger Coalition, as well as one of the directors for the Tempe campus for the Pitchfork Pantry.
And my name is Madeline Ordaway. I am also a co-director of the Student Anti-Hunger Coalition and a co-executive director to the Pitchfork Pantry. As we continue to grow as an organization, we originally fell under the parameters of a research subject and a research guide for a graduate student, and as that began to wrap up, the university assumed that the pantry itself would also continue to wrap up. However, it was our goal to continue and make it a more established organization here on campus, and preferably across all campuses, in order to provide a service that we could clearly see was very needed. However, the university had a couple of different ideas on that and required us to shut down at the end of what was our sophomore year. And from that, we then started to create a dialogue within the university, beginning with Kelly Cloud within housing, creating an open discussion as to why this was a requirement here on campus. And after that summer, we were able to reopen with their help, in fact, to continue what we wanted to do. And we have continued to expand programming, open up to additional community resources, working with the United Food Bank to create a backpack program and similar projects to that.
And so some of the biggest difficulties were understanding at such a large institution, at such an inclusive institution, at an institution where the fundamental responsibility to community is the fundamental charter to our university. We had to tackle what does it mean to have something like collegiate hunger that we've across the nation been getting a better understanding on. Part of that dialogue has been better understanding the resources and the wayfinding at this university, because for many students and for the university it can be difficult recognizing the situations you're in, being able to connect and feel comfortable in acknowledging that and working with universities. Trying changing some of the culture we have around food insecurity, the education and stigmatization. And so one of the great things we did is we heard different histories and programs at this university.
We had a very limited scope in which we were allowed to operate. We were supposed to only work with dormitory students. However, it was very clear the need to expand past that. When you come to the university, you're required to purchase a meal plan. So when you live within the dorms, the likelihood is that you are at least getting food from somewhere. However, there is a gap between the people who will take the lowest meal plan and thus need supplement food, and those who live off campus and have far greater bills to pay and might be more likely in need of a full meal to find that kind of sustenance that they require. After that first year, we got shut down towards the end of the second semester, and that is when we ran the pantry under the scope, tried to shut down, but was also trying to push for being allowed to be reopened. We were able to open with a much greater mandate than before, allowing us to serve the entire community. And so now our jurisdiction is anyone who falls underneath the ASU banner, anyone who has an ASU ID.
If we're looking just at a food pantry, there is a very specific legal space we sit in. We only work for students or ASU-affiliated members. The big and impressive things we're able to do at this university is a lot of student collaboration and innovation. So it's being able to recognize what the situation is and find many different ways to engage. And the conversations between students and the university to be able to get a meaningful and sustainable change. We are in a residential community, so there's our locational issue of difficulties for various identities to get there, as well as we are reaching out to the cultural coalitions to more respectfully and honestly represent communities at the table in the ways we have dialogue around food.
Barriers as to what might prevent someone from coming. There are two different barriers. One is knowledge as to where we are, how to find us, and when we're open. You also have the problem of stigma as to people not necessarily wanting to admit the fact that they are food insecure. I think this is probably one of the biggest barriers. People are thinking, I at least have ramen, or I have tortillas and cheese. I have very small amounts of food, so that does not make me food insecure because I am not completely out of food. with the USDA's broader definition of food insecurity, which is one that we apply to our own institution, it's not just do you have any food, it's that do you have consistent food that you know where it's going to be coming from, you're not trying to scramble for it, and is it also going to be a healthy, sustainable diet? You could have just enough money to make it through the week by eating $1 items off of fast food menus, and maybe that will keep you full, but that's not a healthy, sustainable diet. So in what way can we help provide more fruits, more vegetables, more healthy carbs, everything that would create a more well-rounded diet?
It still is these very real experiences and not these conceptual ideas. I remember the first year we had the pantry open, I was tabling at Passport to ASU, and everyone said, I could volunteer here, I could give my hours, but I could never go here because I cannot take the resources from someone else.
And that's a larger society problem of understanding that it is okay to ask for help when required, and you're starting to see a break in that facade in a lot of different areas.
There's an honesty. There's an honesty to the conversation, there's an honesty to an experience, and I know, especially with the use of media now, we want to present everything in the best light, in a positive light, in this idealized form that we want to be, but life is life. Life happens, there's these things, and that's one of the honest conversations with food insecurity and also just student life here. As much as we can present and put these idealized forms of college students should be this, we should be doing this is what's okay, that's not what our lives are. We've been setting up original dialogue as well as trying to build that relationship. So when one of us can understand the most appropriate legal way to give out fresh produce and provide that consistent access to nutritional food, we as a greater Arizona community can share in that knowledge.